I'm here with Fuzzy Zoeller, and we're talking about the Masters. You won the Masters in 1979. How'd you do that?
Oh, I don't. It's just at the right area at the right time. They always say in this crazy game that you play, if you open the door, there's always going to be somebody step in it with both feet. Ed Snead cracked that door just a little bit, and Tom Watson and I just happened to be there with both feet in.
You won in your very first attempt at the Masters. Nobody's done it since. Why do you think that is?
Just why I was one of the chosen few. I don't know. And you think about all the great golfers who have gone through down Magnolia Lane, out there and walked those beautiful grounds at Augusta. Why is it there's only 3 of us that have ever done it? I cannot answer that question. I wished I could for people, but it was a golf course, and it still is one of my favorite golf courses to play.
And you have the honor now to go back every year for the Champions Dinner. What's that like?
Well, I'll give you a little story. It's a group of men that get together and tell war stories about their careers, whatever, or about people they haven't seen in years that everybody knows. But you get Jackie Burke coming in. Jackie and Doug Ford are the 2 oldest. They're at 90. I'm going to say 92 plus, maybe 93 now. And it's kind of neat to see those guys because you don't see them during the year, and it's always nice to have them in that little room captured and hear the old stories back then. But the story I remember is Herman Kaiser back in 1938. He didn't have enough money to get to the next golf tournament, and Mr. Hogan loaned him $1,500 to get to the next golf tournament. Now Herman had won the next golf tournament and paid back Ben Hogan the $1,500. So I was a past champion at Colonial, and every year at Colonial, one of the little gigs that we have is all the champions come in and have a little time with Mr. and Mrs. Hogan before the big dinner that they had on Tuesday night down there in Colonial. So I would always walk up to Mr. Hogan. It was always Mr. Hogan to me. With Herman, it was Ben, but I always walk up to Mr. Hogan. I said, Mr. Hogan, I was at Augusta this year, and Herman Kaiser turned to me and said, Fuzz, if you see Ben, you make sure you say thank you. They never forgot. And that's the one thing that Mr. Hogan always looked at me. He looked at me, he said, he's never forgotten that. And that's when I found out it was back in 1938 that he had loaned him money to get to the next tournament.
Wow, there we go. A Ben Hogan story I've never heard before. Thank you, Fuzzy.
Well, it's my pleasure.
The Masters is one of the great events, and for Golfweek.com, this is Adam Schupak.